Good morning and happy Friday to everybody. This is Maria Quattrone with Be the Solution. And today I'm excited to welcome my guest, Joe Evangelisti. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Maria, what's happening? Thanks for having me.
What's happening with you? How are you?
Doing well. Got a little bit of congestion this morning, but I think it's just allergies. Knock on wood.
Indeed.
Otherwise, everything's great.
Great. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Thanks. Good to see you as well. It's been a little bit, right? We haven't been able to get outside the house and actually see each other for
No. It's been too long for sure. You're still in your house, I see.
Yeah, I've been working primarily from here for months now. I mean, we still have the offices set up, but most of us are totally virtual. And if I go in the office, it's just to make sure it's still standing.
You changed your company name and opened a new office. How long ago was that now? A year?
About a year on the brokerage side. Yep. So
you were independent?
Independent, yep. It's called Nest Realty.
Yes. Mm-hmm. How's that?
It's well. I mean, we really selfishly, we did it to enhance real estate investors around the area, get really good agents that understand real estate investing, and of course, help us sell off our portfolio of single families. So it's been doing exactly what it's been built for.
Are you loving it?
It's not my favorite. Real estate sales itself is not my favorite thing, but as you know, I have a background in fix and flip and commercial development, so it's a great ancillary business to tie to those things. It helps, like I said, with us moving inventory, our own inventory, and getting good realtors that understand investing.
So your primary business now is really just investing.
Yeah, really, our primary business now is self-storage.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the self-storage business.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. About 2 years ago, probably going back more than like 3 or 4 years ago, my COO and I had hit like 80 flips that year. And we were sitting there kind of reevaluating fourth quarter. What do we want to do next year? How do we want to handle it? And we had talked about, well, do you think we can get to 100 or 120 next year? Right. And we did this whole meeting and we started setting a business plan. And then the next morning, it was almost as if like both of us had the same dream. We both woke up. I called him and I said, do we really want to do 120 flips? And he was like, hell no. Do you? And I was like, no, like 80 flips was, the one of the most stressful years of my life.
You did 80 flips in 1 year.
What's that?
You did 80 flips in 1 year.
Yeah, this is going back a few years, and we were trying to set the goals for the following year, and we just said, "Man, that's insane. Let's do less." And right about that point, I started thinking, like, what are the other verticals? What are the other things we could tackle? How can we scale quicker and do it with less overhead and less people, and do it more effectively, and still offer a great ROI for our investors, and still offer opportunity for people to work with us. And I started looking at different sectors, and self-storage started to stick out to me because I think it's kind of it's an under the radar thing. You're going to hear it here in the next 6 to 9 months. You're going to hear it become really sexy, and people are starting to start looking at it like multifamily. But it's an under the radar thing. It's easier to build. It's cheaper to build. The NOIs on them are usually better because the cash flow is just as good as an apartment building, but with less maintenance and less overhead. So there's just so many different facets to it that make it interesting to me. So about 2 years ago, we made that decision. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start looking for self-storage, and knock on wood, it's 2 years later, and we're in the mix of 4 different closings right now before the end of this year to develop self-storage in different areas in the Northeast.
Wow, that's exciting. So You're buying vacant land, or is it a structure, and you're knocking it down? What are you doing?
Couple variations of different things. The first deal we did is a 4.5 acre, just like woods, right? So we're clearing trees. We're doing site work. We're building a new structure.
Where's that?
Right in Sicklerville, New Jersey, Gloucester Township, right off of 42 and the expressway there. 100,000 square foot, state of the art facility. Going in, as we speak, the trees are gonna be knocked down any day now. And then we're working on one in Columbus, Ohio. We have one in upstate New York, and then I have another one here in New Jersey. So it's exciting.
Wow, that's exciting. Are you building modular?
No, we're not. Well, yes and no. The garage, the exterior garages come modular. They're just kind of stack and tilt like Legos. But the most of them have a climate controlled facility that's usually a multi-story building that's concrete. So we're building that out of light gauge metal and concrete floors.
That's a long way away from flipping a single family home or a row house.
It's interesting because I've been talking about building teams and having great people on hand for years now, and that's been part of some of our programs. And you've been to our events as well. And we built a really, really, really large team to flip those houses, and it was just unnecessary. It was inefficient. It actually helped me learn how to build better teams and become more effective. So back when we were flipping 80 houses, I had between a couple different companies, I had 45 staff, I had 45 team members. So it was a lot of payroll to pay, a lot of overhead to pay, a lot of process. We had processors to process processing. It's just people everywhere. And it occurred to me that, what, I think we better scale back and figure out how to be more effective and make more with our time and our investment. And that's where the self-storage piece came from. We'll be developing these with a team of 6, and maybe we have to get to 10 to do a lot of facilities, but we don't need 45 to do this, and it's a lot more manageable. You're talking about one site at a time. When we were flipping houses, we had 30 to 35 projects going on all over South Jersey, so it was just nonstop from here to there to here to there. And when you're talking about a facility like this, it's one location, it's one project, right? Just bigger numbers.
And now, will you self-manage that, or do you hire a manager?
No, we'll have a nationwide third party that's gonna manage it.
That's gonna come in.
Yeah, it's really the way to go. I don't want to be in the business of, although I will be obviously overseeing the management, making sure that it's done properly, and we get the maximum return on our investment for ourselves and our investors.
So you're gonna have an operator.
Yeah, that's not where we want to be. We want to be in the development game.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
Something completely different, right? There's so many ways that you can invest in real estate and make money and be profitable in real estate. You just have to be open and aware, I think is the key, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been talking about these deals now for a little while with different investors, and with the single family fix and flip game, it's a sexy thing, right? It's HGTV. People are watching Flip and Flop and Flipping Boston and whatever, right? And it's got that appeal to it, to the point where it almost feels like anybody could do it, and a lot of people have tried in the last couple of years because it's been a hot market. So when you start talking about something like self-storage, it's just not sexy, right? There's nothing sexy about a storage facility. There's no TV shows of people building storage facilities. And so I've been saying this for a little while. One of my investors said to me a couple of weeks ago, he said, it doesn't have to be sexy. The numbers are sexy, right? Like, it's an investment, and that's what it is at the end of the day. And as long as it's relatively insulated, which the self-storage industry could be and can be from fluctuations in the economy, as long as it's relatively stable and a good solid base, for that vertical, it's something that to me, I think it will withstand time. And it's it's based off of occupancy. It's based off of huge feasibility studies, engineering, reporting. There's a lot of people weighing in. You flip a house, it's like it's you and your gut instinct half the time. This is a real team of professionals that are deciding, hey, this is a good place to build this thing. This is a good probability of how quick you're going to rent it. This is a good probability of how much money you're going to make. And you're hiring professionals to tell you this too. So it's not just one person's opinion. Although it's a lot more money, it's also a lot more reward and a lot more rewarding for our investors, because we can actually give them debt plus equity, which I've never done in the fix and flip game.
So is it more like a syndication deal, or?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're structured as syndication deals. And yeah, we're giving out equity on every deal.
So in that game and in that space, how did you go ahead and build that team of people?
A lot of our existing people, right? So my background, believe it or not, before I was flipping houses, I used to work at the Defense Intelligence Agency down in Bowling Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. And, my job there was to renovate gigantic commercial, infrastructure buildings for the government, and spend lots and lots of money doing it. But I oversaw that type of work. So I know kind of what goes into that. I know what it takes to build something like this. And, Yeah, I mean, I think that's, that's one piece of it. We're also hiring some of the best people in the country. And one thing I learned about self-storage, very interesting. It is a very, very small world. So if you get connected with the right people, you have the right owners reps, the right feasibility reporters, the right engineers, the right architects, you're going to go a long way quick. And, for us, it's always been about finding the best people to talk to for each piece and kind of go from there.
So, and it's interesting that all this happened during this last 6 months. A lot of it came together, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. I think the first deal that just closed in June should have really closed in like February, right? So, COVID kind of, it screwed things up for a lot of us, but mostly just on the government buildings being open type of thing, right? So it was hard to get engineers to review things. Your zoning offices weren't open. In fact, our one of our zoning meetings we went to this year was on Zoom. So I think everybody's learning to adapt and try to figure out how to work through this. But it's happening. It's delayed slightly some things, but the reality of it is most of these that we have due diligence on, we can extend the due diligence. The sellers are understanding. They don't really have a choice. It's you can't get people to fly to places. You can't get people to show up and do certain things. So I think that everyone's kind of been understanding of the whole process and what it takes to get things done. And knock on wood for us, it really hasn't affected us much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your wholesale business, what's happening with that?
The wholesale company's cool. We have we have our local New Jersey-based business in South Jersey. We have my team there, but I've also about 7 months ago I started a company called the Wholesale Syndicate, which essentially we partner with operators all over the country. So we have about 9 operators, I think, right now, all around the country that top level wholesalers that know what they're doing, that are going out there and doing volume, and we help them scale. So we have. I'll give you an example. Our Philadelphia team started, they were doing $25,000, $30,000 a month on average. They're going to close a $90,000 a month this month rather. So, just helping them scale, helping them kind of figure out who to hire, right person, right seat, dictating, processes and things like that help them get more effective, more efficient, understanding lead gen at a whole different level, creating better opportunities with those leads that come in, all that kind of good stuff. I have 12, 14 years of experience in wholesale. So, it's just taking all those years of what I've learned and what I've taught my team and helping teach other teams do the same thing. So it's really rewarding. It's one of my favorite things I do. That's
pretty cool. So you're helping 9 different teams across the country.
Yeah, we're all over, mostly east of the Mississippi. I have Dallas, Birmingham, Alabama, Philadelphia, Rhode Island, Twin Cities, all over the place. Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia. So yeah, we have a lot of really good teams. I'm really proud of these guys that they're out there, they're hustling and they're doing it. So
that's cool. Who's the Philadelphia team?
Larry and Adam, Larry Lamantia and Adam Balsinger. I think they called themselves I Flip Philly.
Oh, really? I never heard of them.
Oh, they're awesing. Yeah, I'll put you in contact with them.
I would love to meet them.
Yeah, for sure.
Adam Balsinger?
Balsinger. It's Balsinger.
Okay.
Larry Lamantia. I was going to call him La Mancha because my insurance guy is spelled the same way, and it's La Mancha, but he's Lamantia. So it's Lamantia. Larry Lamantia. Good guys, really good guys.
That's cool. How did you come up with that idea?
I don't know. I've some of my mentors have done similar things in the space. I kind of, I've always loved this book. It's sitting around here somewhere. It's called Steal Like an Artist. And essentially the concept of the book is that all art has been stolen from something, right? If you see an amazing, painting of a landscape, right? The landscape had to exist first. So they had to steal the art from nature, right? The concept of steal like an artist is finding something that works really, really well and putting your spin on it, right? Not stealing copy or, stealing ideas, but basically reinventing the idea to work for yourself. So I saw this idea working with one of my mentors. He's got some great teams around the country doing something similar. And
is he in the wholesale business or is he?
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, you know what, there's something I think not only we can do, I think we can do it at a really high level and I could be more engaged. And it's something that, my teams, I'm on the phone with them 5 days a week. And it's generally just a 15-minute check-in accountability. report your KPIs, and the thing I love about it is it's a little bit of friendly competition because it's like different people, different cities reporting their numbers, what's working, what's not working, and being able to know your numbers every morning. See, so many business owners and entrepreneurs just don't know their numbers, right? So if every day all I did was make you know your numbers, it'll literally change the game for your business. A lot of us just when we don't have that accountability or that structure to check in on, we're just running around blind, and we can go 3-4 days without knowing the real numbers. If you're asking once a week what the real numbers are, you're probably not.
What numbers are they reporting?
So these guys, for example, it's contracts in, contracts out, right? So they're all they're doing is making offers. They're trying to get deals under contract, and then they're trying to find a buyer to sell them to, right? So it's contracts in, contracts out. It's number of deals in the pipeline, or number of deals in the marketing, right? So let's say they have 10 contracts in that are signed, and they have to sell those contracts. Well, they might have 10 on the market, right? And the number of contracts assigned, meaning there's a buyer found and they can assign that contract.
Yeah.
The dispositions piece, and then total volume, total volume is basically disposition under contract. So something like they might say 2 contracts out, 1 contract came back. I have 10 on the market, and I have 4 assigned for $67,000, right? That might be the reporting. But having an operator come in and say those numbers every morning is super powerful because it makes them look at it every single day. 5 days a week, you're looking at that number, right? And I find that's one of the most impactful things when you're starting to scale, because a lot of us, and this is true in, Darren Hardy wrote a book called The Entrepreneur's Roller Coaster years ago, and I thought it was amazing. And I call it the real estate roller coaster, right? What happens is we get deals under contract, we start riding a high, we start counting the closings. We're like, 67,000 coming in this month. Oh man, it's amazing, right? And then what happens is when we get closer to closing, we focus all of our attention on closing. Is the title clear? Is the seller ready? Is the buyer's cash ready? Is it going to close on time? 2:00 on Friday. Well, what happens is we take our eyes, let's say this is dispositions on this side and acquisitions is over here. We start focusing everything over to the dispose side. And then what happens is we wake up and we're like, shit, we closed a lot of money. Yeah, man. And then we're like, oh my God, we haven't acquired a property in 3 weeks because we've been spending all this time looking at the closing side, focusing on closings, trying to get that money. Right now, the money came in, and really, what happens is it creates this ripple. So you're riding your wave up to the top of that roller coaster. You're feeling high, you're feeling great, and next thing you know, the bottom falls out because you haven't done any of the acquisitions work, or rather this side, right? You haven't done any of the inbound work in order to get more contracts, so that you have to sell them next month.
No,
so
it's a machine. You got to create a machine for sure.
It's got to. And so what I want to do is I don't want you riding a roller coaster. I want you riding smooth. Right? I want contracts coming in every day. I want deals going out every day. I want money coming in every week, right? And our whole goal in that industry and that group is to make sure you're closing 1 deal a week. The idea is utopia would be 1 deal a week. Now, for people like yourself that are doing huge volume, 1 deal a week's not enough. But if you were just starting out, 1 deal a week would be so much better than 3 deals on the last day of the month, right? Because if I'm doing 1 deal a week, I'm consistent. I got cash flow coming in every week. I don't have to worry about paying my payroll. And all these things that throw entrepreneurs off are usually money related, right? When the bank account's really low, oh shit, I got to hustle. When the bank account's high, oh baby, let me book a vacation. It's time to go down the beach, right? And that's what happens, psychologically to most, realtors, entrepreneurs in general, is we live off of our checking account. And I would rather have you live off of your metrics, and you'll never have a problem in your checking account.
It's interesting. I was told by a coach I had years ago, and they said, start every day at 0.
Yeah.
So every day, pretend like there's no money in the bank. You have no escrows or, pendings, whatever.
Yeah.
And you have no listings. And that's like, our business listings.
Totally. No,
and so every day I said, what are we selling today? What's getting sold? Ding, 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 ding. So we're at a deal a day, basically, at this point.
So, I want you to think about like what would be, what would be a crazy amount of deals? Like, let's say you woke up next week and you were doing 3 deals a day, right? What would your mindset be like? How would you wake up and attack that day? Because what happens is there's always a threshold and it's the scary zone, right? It's a comfort level, right? Like, there's always like when I first got married, my wife always said, if we have a certain amount of money in our savings account, I'll feel comfortable. And then our expenses went up. We made more money and we needed more money. And then it was like, well, that number doesn't make me feel comfortable anymore. Now it's got to be this number, right? So like what happens is there's always a threshold.
That's true.
Yeah, well, it happens. It's just natural. So
Yeah.
there's always a threshold in sales where we start to feel comfortable. And that's one of the biggest problems in this business, as well as many, many others, is when we start counting that pipeline and there's guys that are like, oh, I got 127,000 closing next month. Well, then they naturally lay off the gas. So what number is that for you, or what number is that for your business?
Well, I know the number, what it is for me, and we're not at it. We're not there.
But we have to.
And it's more than it was a year ago, and more than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it should be. But the question is, how do you convince yourself when you hit that number that it's not enough? Right? How do you convince yourself to not get comfortable when you hit that number?
I don't know. I don't know how you convince yourself, but I'm able to convince myself. So
cool. Well, that's good. You're unique and you're driven, and there's not a lot of people like that. But the truth is that there's always an internal barometer for some of us. And Ed Milet calls this like your internal thermostat or something like that, right? Like, if 100 is your comfort level, then you got to push that thermostat so 110 is your comfort level, right? Because what happens is we all seek that comfort zone. And in my opinion, it's one of the most dangerous places you can be, because you make bad decisions. You're not aggressive. You're not taking that calculated risk that got you to this place, right? It's hard to get past that comfort level when you've kind of internally decided what it's going to be. So like my wife's checking account number, right? It's going to keep moving up because I'm not going to stop making more money. So, I'm going to keep pushing that uncomfort level inside to try to get to that point. It's just one example, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's I don't know. I think that when you push yourself outside of your comfort level, like for example, the Facebook Lives. Now we're doing them. You do them. I do them. We talked about that a little bit before we got on. But before April 1st, there was no Facebook Live. So that pushed me out of my comfort level, right? And then when the interview comes and they're calling about, a magazine's calling or the newspaper's calling, what's going on in real estate in the Philadelphia metro market, what do you say? Then the conversations are easy to be had because you stretch yourself, you continue to learn and grow. And the reason why these interviews are not, you don't give me a list. I don't give you a list of questions. You don't give me a list of questions because I have to listen to you.
That's I'm not things.
And if I can listen to you, then I'm a better interviewer and moderator, right? So, but that wasn't, they didn't do this in March and February. If you told me in January that we would be sitting here doing this, I would be laughing.
Well, I've been trying to get you to do Facebook Live for years. I think you remember me saying
I know.
It's been out there for a long time. You got forced to do it because of COVID.
I'm stubborn, I guess.
But no, I mean, I think it's good. There's a lot of really, really good information being shared right now in these type of forums, which I think is interesting. And I think people will start to realize that there's a lot of value in these things, that they're not just fluff, depending on the interviewee and what their goals are. But I think that I've been doing this for years, and I think StreamYard, this piece that we're on right now, is pretty cool because it gives you a platform to be able to put some other information out there as well. Makes it interesting for the watcher and so forth. But there's a lot of information. They say that the self-information, what do they call it? The knowledge business, right? The self-knowledge business, self-education business is going to be like a $7 billion business in the next 2 years. There's so much that people can teach others. And, being able to do it virtually, being able to do it on a Facebook Live, technology is great.
Thank God we have it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and look, you're Zooming all over the country with your partners.
You know what's crazy? I love Zoom, and I'm on Zoom 15 times a day. And it's very, very interesting to me how much, and again, I'm speaking for myself. I know there's a lot of people struggling. I'm not taking away from them. There's certain industries, obviously, you can't serve a dinner through Zoom. But I think for the majority of industries, the insurance and any industry where, it involves you going to a desk, it's amazing how you can get this stuff done from home, and people are, they're casual, they're getting more done at home. My teams are more productive at home. We went virtual on March 13th. The second everything said we're closing down, I closed all my offices. I sent everybody home. We had 10 people starting on the Monday morning that we closed the office. They were supposed to be there at 9 a.m. They were all salespeople. And we literally had them all go virtual onto Zoom within an hour. We'd sent them all texts, told them to go home. And by noon, I had all 10 people working from home on a Zoom call. It's amazing to me, the ability to leverage technology. And, I think this has just helped us, I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, it's helped us progress, right? Because we've realized that, hey, we can be productive, we can make money, and we can do it, from the comfort of our living room.
100%. I think that, there is something though about being able to go to lunch or dinner with somebody and.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not looking forward to doing this forever. I'm just saying that I think that sometimes
I just want to see an end in sight.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm
thinking about Christmas right now, and I'm like, you mean I'm not going to go to any networking parties for Christmas? That's like my favorite time of year, Joe. What the hell? Are you kidding me? I'm out 27 nights. By Christmas, I'm exhausted. I'm like, I have to sleep.
You're hilarious. You're funny. No, I think we're all looking forward to holiday parties, and I think look, November 4th. I don't think you ever hear the term coronavirus again. So I think
okay.
Parties.
I hear that's what they're saying. So
I don't want to turn this into a political debate, but
what?
I don't want to turn this into a political thing. But
no, we're not going to do that. I do love the flag behind you.
Yeah. What's that?
I do like your flag behind you hanging up. Yeah. So I'm in my office. Because I live a few blocks away and I didn't want to stay in my house anymore. Mm-hmm. And I have a couple of staff members that are here with me, but there's only 3 of us, myself and 2 others.
Yeah.
And then we still facilitate some closings here. Not everything is virtual. We have clients that do come in and sign deed packages and buyers that need to sign docs with mortgage companies. So, that's happening, but the sellers aren't coming, and those closings are very quick. I mean, I think we had one that was long. It was like a half an hour.
But see, I think that's the point that I'm making, is that the adversity causes us to get more efficient. And ultimately it causes us to do things in a way that maybe we should have been doing them all along. Right. Closings don't need to take 2 hours. They don't need to involve, I've always admired California, right? You go into escrow, and then the agent comes and delivers the keys to the house and says move-in day. Like, why can't we all do that? Why do we have to have these big adversarial, grudge matches where we bring the seller and buyer together? And I'm not saying they're all this way. I mean, you understand what I'm saying. But
I do.
There's times when we just don't need to meet each other, right? It's not necessary. It doesn't help anybody. And we've all been in those crazy closings where people are yelling and screaming and agents fighting
or trying to negotiate, investors trying to renegotiate the deal at the closing table.
Should never happen.
One last year, 50,000 they tried.
Yeah.
I literally,
yeah.
I was a little more hot-headed then, but I was about to punch them out.
Yeah. Or they did a walkthrough in the
office.
Yeah.
We closed the deal, but it's like it's bad business too.
It is.
Right?
It's crazy. And I think there's more effective ways to do it, more efficient ways to do it. And I think that my hope is that this drives efficiencies in a lot of places where we were kind of being lazy. We were kind of just going with the flow and doing the thing. I personally think that one of the reasons that my staff has been more productive is some of them aren't commuting, and they don't have to get up and do their morning routine and get dressed and put on their makeup. And it's an hour and a half to get to the office. Or now it's like they get up, they grab their coffee, they hop in front of the computer. I got people on my team that usually didn't message me till 9 a.m. that are hitting me up at 7:30 because they're ready, they're going, they're effective. So I think that it's interesting that, like I said, this adversity will create some effectiveness for efficiencies for people, and I think we're learning a lot as we go through what we're really capable of virtually.
I love it. I love the fact that I can Zoom with somebody on an appointment. Yeah. And once they agree that, they're comfortable moving forward with our company, and we have them as a client, then we can go and check out the house in person if we need to.
Yeah.
At that point, everything's done. It's just now professional photography, 3D tours, and all the marketing, and the marketing team gets together. But it's so much more efficient because I could never be in like Bucks County and Newtown Square in the same day.
Exactly. Now, are you taking listings virtually? Did I hear that? Did I hear that right?
I do. Yeah, I do a lot.
Yeah.
And then I'll go. Like yesterday, I actually did go out to Newtown Square, but I already had met with them on Zoom twice.
Gotcha.
So things are taking a little bit longer. God bless you.
Thank you. I met a guy about 3 years ago, and I'm trying to remember his name right now. You would know him. He's a big producer. We were down in West Palm at an event together, and he was telling me how he did 250 deals a year in his brokerage. He had a team. He had 6 or 8 people on his team, but they did all of their listing appointments via Zoom, or I'm sorry, FaceTime. They didn't have Zoom back then, right? But like he would FaceTime his clients and do a walk around of the house, and then dot loop them the contract to sign.
Yeah.
And that's when they would, like you said, they would do the photography and the marketing, all that kind of stuff. But he would always take the listing without going to the house. And, everyone thought he was crazy back then. But now, adversity hits, we start doing things differently, and people like Maria Quattrone are out there taking listings virtually, right? That's the kind of thing I mean when I say I think it's making us better in certain ways. It's forcing us to be more effective.
I agree. I also think that it's forcing us not to waste time. Meaning, how many of those lunches and dinners and coffees did you really need to attend?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy, because I don't do those things. But
I did.
I know what you're saying.
I did. And it takes, I looked at the time, and it takes a lot of time to be, go to lunch. Okay, well, I'm walking over to park, 15 minutes. Walk back, 15, or maybe I'm faster, 12 minutes. That's a half an hour. Then you're there for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
No lunch is ever an hour.
Yeah.
So now what? That's over 2 hours out of almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I could have done 2 Zoom appointments.
Absolutely. Could have got 2 listings during that lunch break.
Right. So now I'm definitely, I am working longer hours. So I start usually by like 7:30. I usually go to around 7. But they're definitely more action packed in regards to number of appointments.
Yeah.
How's your real estate company doing? I know it's there to support the other businesses, but
yeah, it's not really a priority of ours on the sales side. It really is. Gotcha. It's a door, It's a door to open us up to other investment ideas, and our realtors bring us deals, and our realtors service some of the investor deals that we have. But that's really all it's there for.
Are you still doing any of those flips while you're building this? Or are you out of it?
We're done. It's been a crazy, weird transition. Not an easy transition, but it was. We had to pull the Band-Aid off at some point. So probably, 12. It had to be maybe back a year ago. We stopped buying houses, and it's been tough. It's been tough to make that transition, but we knew we had to. It was like an addiction. We were buying houses just because that's what we did for a long time. And, we had to make that hard decision. Like, that's it. We're done. We're going to move forward. We're going to do something different. And, knock on wood, the wholesale company has really substantiated a lot of that transition. But now we're almost fully out. I mean, I think we have 6 houses left or something like that to sell. We still have a pretty decent portfolio of single family rental properties, but, the fix and flip stuff is over. I'm not going back to that.
So that's a hard thing to do, to walk away from something that you built and you had process systems and a lot of stuff behind it. But you have to make a decision, right? You have to say, okay, well, what are we going to do to grow the company, and what's best for the long-term profitability of the firm? Great entrepreneurs have to pivot. You have to be able to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like we stayed inside the real estate industry. We just found a different vertical, a more profitable, scalable vertical that I think we could do a lot easier. Of course, nothing's easy in life, but the reality of it is, if we're going to spend the time and effort to flip 80 houses, and we could do 2 deals in the self-storage business and make just as much money, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. So goal is to get these 4 done this year, or get these 4 at least out of the ground this year. Do 10 next year, and if we do 10 next year, we'll do better and with a more effective team than we did when we were flipping 80 houses. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So super exciting. Yeah. How's the masterminding? I know you love that. That's like
great. Yeah, we actually just had an event like when did we do it? End of July or something like that.
In person?
Go ahead.
In person?
Yeah, we did it in person. There was only I think it was only 8 or 10 people came, and everybody was safe. We did the masks and the spray and all that crap. But no, it was good. It was a great event. It was really focused on wholesale and real estate. Keeping a ahead of the trends for marketing and things like that, getting deals done. And we had a great turnout, great event. And we had first time we did it virtual. We did a half virtual, half in person, which was kind of interesting. So, I had a Zoom call going with like 4 or 5 people on it, and magically they stayed on for 2 days. I couldn't believe it, but it worked well.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's cool. So, in regards to that, and on the marketing side, are you seeing same of more of the direct mail or more online digital footprint? Where do you see it going?
It's interesting because so I run an email marketing company. I'm very, very confident in email right now. I think email is.
What is that? What do you mean, email marketing company?
So we have a list business basically where we buy and sell leads for different verticals, mostly health and wellness, survival, financial, newsletters, stuff like that, retirement, cryptocurrency, all that kind of thing, right? And in email, I believe email will be strong for years and years and years. There's regulations that allow for marketing through email. Whereas, for example, let's say you have a huge pay-per-click campaign going and you're spending thousands of dollars a month, and Google changes up its analytics, changes up its algorithm, right? Your campaign's zero. You could spend years building that campaign, it's zero. But when you're engaging with people in their email and you're engaging with them with a piece that they enjoy, that they like, right? So I always use this analysis or this analogy. I love Napa wine. You know that. We talked about Napa before. Wine, right? I'm on dozens of Napa winery newsletters, right? If you're a Napa winery and you email me, I'm not deleting you. I'm not unsubscribing. I'm not marking it spam. I could open up, my email every day and have 10 different emails from different wineries, right? I'm cool with it. Like, it's just something I'm into. Like, maybe you're into shoes or you're into, I don't know, whatever, tennis, right? If you're into something enough, you will find yourself getting emails from all those different types of, companies, right? You rarely will unsubscribe because you're into it, right? So for us, when we have somebody who's on one of our like survival lists that loves these are campers that love like the prepper mentality and different like knives and outdoorsy stuff, right? When you're into that stuff, you'll subscribe to multiple lists. You'll be an engaged user inside that vertical, right? I think email is going to be strong for that reason, especially if you're sending it for the right reasons and you're tied to that person's needs and wants. That's one of the best verticals. I think that, look, I can get deep into this with realtors, but I think realtors could be unbelievable in email if they learn how to use it. But most realtors are lazy, and what do? They just subscribe to, their mortgage guy or their, Remax's weekly update thing, and they mass blast it to all of their clients, and their clients don't give a shit. That's not what they're into, right? If realtors learned what their clients were into and started to email them about that thing, right? And there's certain realtors, I know that you're on those lists where, someone's, and you might have this list, I don't know, but like, if you're really into Center City, for example, and you do a blog post type email about Center City, the places to eat, the things that are happening, the pop-up beer gardens, the whatever, right? If you focus on that and your clients are engaged in that, then they're not going to leave you. But if you hit them with, now's a good time to refi, and do you want to go buy a house this week? And you want to go buy a house next week? You want to go buy a house after? Are you ready to buy a house yet? You want to sell your house? Then people are just like, dude, get away from me. That's spam. You know what I mean? You're not attracting, the right people at that point. So, but I do think email is very, very powerful. We use it in the wholesale business. I think that's what you started to ask.
Yeah. So you have how many different verticals that you're in with it?
The email side, we have 5 verticals.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand because I feel like a little stupid right now. You're building lists for people, or we're
building our own list, and we're helping other people build lists as well. So, and mostly it's nationwide brands, right? So, like I said, we have a lot of survival offers. We have a lot of health offers. Our demographic is generally leaning towards male in the 45 to 65 age. So you're talking about baby boomer-esque people who are looking to retire soon. They're into their health and wellness. They're into fat loss offers and cancer treating offers, and just generally health and wellness type stuff. A lot of them sub-segment into, like I said, their survival life and the outdoorsy and the camping and all that kind of stuff. They love financial offers because they're looking for things to invest in, like the new gold outbreak and all these different financial pieces. So yeah, there's a lot of verticals that you can actually target within that subsegment. And when you learn how to use email and learn how to convert, like actually get, our company's called Mammoth Conversions, but
What is it called?
Mammoth Conversions.
Mammoth.
Yeah, it's called Mammoth. So like it's helping people to convert to an offer, right? So I say this, like if you were going to go, it's kind of similar to, let's say you went and took the back page of the New York Times, right? And you said on the Sunday edition, I want the back page. And they said, all right, it's $10,000 for Sunday. And you send them an ad and they're going to broadcast it. Well, they're going to guarantee you 2 million eyeballs, however many, whatever there's, maybe it's 10 million. I have no idea. But, the certain amount of viewers are going to see that ad and they're going to engage in it. Now, if you have a great creative, you have a great call to action, and you have something that's interesting to people, it's going to crush it, right? If you have a bad creative and a bad call to action and a bad subject line, and nobody cares what's on the back page, right? It's gonna flop, But you don't call the New York Times and say like, "Hey, I didn't get enough phone calls on that ad. I needed to give you, a free one next week," right? It's advertising. So we're creating an advertising platform where if you target it properly for those type of people, you have that type of product, it'll convert really well and you'll sell it. So we sell ad space inside of our email list.
Got it. Ad space inside the email list. How many people do you have on these lists?
It's proprietary, but it's let's say north of 5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, we're growing every day. The whole idea is to continue to grow constantly.
North of 5 million.
Yeah. Now again, it's all different verticals, right? All different.
I understand. That's a lot of email.
Yeah, it's a lot of email. The goal is to send 1 billion a month. Right now, we're sending a little over 100 million a month.
That's wild.
It's fun. It's a very interesting business. I enjoy it.
How did you get started in that?
I don't even know the answer to that. Again, another friend of mine was in the business, and we kind of helped. We kind of replicated his business a little bit, and then threw in our own spice, and then. This year, actually, January, one of my friends who was doing the same thing, we kind of called ourselves sister companies because we were the same size, we were growing at the same rate. We actually came together in January and just said, we're going to call it all one thing, and we're going to, we're going to bring it together under one roof. So we kind of combined 2 different companies in January, and it's been awesome.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
How do you have time for all these things?
I categorize time, right? So,
you're a good time manager. Tell me what you do.
Time management. You got to block, I mean, it's so basic, Maria, but like, I think people miss this. I live off my calendar. Like some people are like, I don't want to be tied to a calendar. How do you live your life without a calendar?
I can't live. I have a calendar.
Every 15 minutes, I'm literally texting my team right now because I have a 9:15 call. But every 15 minutes, excuse me 1 second. I'm blocked. And so, I go from one meeting to the next. If I have, a 15-minute break, I'll slide to-do items in there. So what happens is if I can show you my calendar right now, there's probably not an hour of open time all day, right? And so what happens is if I have things I need to get done, I just put them in an open space. I hang up this call, I look at my calendar, I do that thing, for the next half hour, whatever, then I hop on the next call. So like, you have to, I have to run off of a calendar, even to the point where, if you text me and say, hey, do you have a half hour today? I would send you my Calendly link and say, pick a time, whatever works for you, because if you pop up at 2:00, well, I'm on the phone with you at 2:00, it's simple. So just being really efficient with the time that you have.
Yeah.
And I try to focus on, what are the high gain activities for me right now. I happen to have 4 teams, which are incredible. And they have incredible people on there. So really my effort and time is spent coaching people. When can I be on the phone with somebody from the syndicate? When can I be on the phone with somebody from my wholesale team? When can I be on the phone with one of the sales guys from Mammoth? When can I, so I'm always trying to think about, am I creating multiplication by helping others get better? or am I kind of wasting time, doing it myself?
Yeah. Well, Joe, I know that you have a call. Thank you for letting me know that. I've really enjoyed our time together today.
Yeah,
I've taken a page of notes while you were talking, and I'll rewatch this, and this will be going into the podcast in a few weeks, so we'll send it to you.
awesome.
But this was really great. I am very thankful and grateful for your time. And let's check in again in a few months and see where we are. And I love talking with you. I love the energy. It's really fantastic. And I congratulate you on all your success and all your businesses, and keep getting at it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
See you soon, Joe.
Goodbye.
Bye.